Hello and welcome to the Animation Communication Podcast, your source for discussion about animation, film, fandom, and more. So please join your host, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, or KP, and Lauren Kizich, the Abbey Roadie, for today's discussion. If you like what you hear, please remember to support by giving a like, a follow, as well as subscribing to the main I Love Kim Possible a Lot channel on YouTube. Spread the word and keep being a part of a great community. This episode contains heavy adult language and is not appropriate for young children. Can't.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's /month/ whatever episode of Animation Communication. We're in the process of kind of revamping the show, so, I don't know how often we'll be doing episodes at this current point right now, so bear with us. But going forward, a lot of the podcast should be chill and behind the scenes and helping me keep my sanity going and by talking to the internet and, hopefully someone listens, maybe possibly. So we don't have Lauren today. We have another person that is not Lauren. So his name is Anthony, and we'll be talking about just general challenges being on the team as far as in a leadership position or just transitioning into leadership, doing anything regarding artistic or creative projects. So that's what we're here to talk about. So, Anthony, why don't you tell the people about yourself a little bit?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Anthony. I've been on the team for almost 2 years now also, which is crazy to think about too. But I'm the head editor of the team, and I just do a lot of miscellaneous things as well. So mostly editing, of course, as the head editor. But I handle the team members as well, keeping an eye on everybody and managing what people are working on as well to make sure everything gets done, and doing other miscellaneous tasks like scouting for some people or conventions and calling people and interviewing people. So a lot of talking to people lately.
Yeah, well, he's good at talking to people, so that's why I ask him to talk to a lot of people. But I think something that people don't realize too is there's just kind of like a weird kind of symbiotic relationship with YouTubers or people who think they know YouTubers. Not that it's been a problem lately, because my peak of relevancy is kind of up and down and up and down, and I don't know if people even think about me except from that one time where they used to watch things. So hopefully, I don't know, I'm gonna be shitting on myself this whole episode. But at least in the past, especially with a lot of the younger children, sometimes there's not with anyone specifically, but just generalized boundary issues. And having someone in the middle to kind of help regulate that, who people aren't consuming the voice or isn't the primary producer of the content, kind of makes things easier. So it's a weird, political thing, but essentially it helps everyone maintain healthy boundaries and stuff like that. So, you've had weird issues in general with people on the internet, right? Or not really?
With people on the internet in general? Oh man. It's going way back then. I feel like the less I talk on the internet, the more problems I avoid. So I don't usually talk on the internet. But
that seems like a good way to do it.
As far as dealing with people that you work with on the internet, though, then it becomes another whole category of things, because then you're constantly in communication with people, but they're also technically a stranger on the internet. Despite how long you may know them, you might not even see what they look like or know what they sound like. Well, I most likely know what they sound like, but yeah, it gets into another realm of challenges and things when you work with people. But
okay, so we're gonna do some just generalized news animation stories that are coming out as we record this ish currently, and then we'll kind of break down more about both our experiences, I know I've talked about this kind of stuff before, but I'm hoping by bringing Anthony, who's kind of a relatively new, fresh whippersnapper, I say that when he's been on the team for a little bit, but, kind of talking about it from a different perspective might be interesting, and, creative and art, it's hard. So, I picked out some headlines. Do you have do you have a preference on what headline we do first, Anthony?
No, of course, go ahead.
Okay. So we have the Proud Family. First of all, have you been watching the new Proud Family at all?
I haven't. To be honest, the Proud Family was always that cartoon I saw on at 4 a.m. like at sleepovers and stuff. So I never really was too into it. But I'm glad that it's back and seems to be good. Maybe.
Yeah. It's like the fourth most trending thing
wow.
on Disney Plus right now, which like baffles me. We talked a little bit about the Proud Family last time. Well, I say last time, but whenever the last podcast that we made about it coming back, and it's weird to me to think about, because I said this before, but it's weird to think that we live in a world where we have a Proud Family reboot, but we don't have a Kim Possible reboot. But we did have it the one time, but they screwed it up because no one wanted the live action version at all. That was a bad idea.
Live action movies, do they even count as reboots? Because that is just...
I just think of like the Scooby-Doo reboots, like where they had the weird, creepy CGI Scooby-Doo.
The Kim Possible is too good. Everybody at Disney knows that if it gets rebooted, they'll somehow mess it up, so they don't want to touch it.
Well, I don't know why they did it the way they did it, because they should have, like... I feel like it was just a bunch of Disney executives, like, on their silver platters who were just, like... Or, not silver platters, like, like, in their big, like, round chairs being like, you know what? We like Kim Possible. Let's do a live-action movie. Not really, asking people what they wanted. Like, I don't know anyone who... I'm trying to be as nice as I can, but, like, I don't know anyone, like, within my circle, outside my circle, who was just like, man, I want a Kim Possible movie. And I'm just kind of like... oh, it's a reboot. Oh, it doesn't have any of the original cast for the most part. These jokes don't work in a different medium. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, it seems like the struggle with reboots, but it seems like they a lot of times don't get it right. So I don't know the formula yet.
Yeah, I've been watching the Proud Family passively as it happens, and I don't know if we'll end up getting to a review of this maybe like after the... I don't know how many episodes are in this batch of drops, but they've been dropping one episode every week. But it's got a weird... My complaint is it's got a weird... what do you think of the word? Suspension of disbelief idea, where a lot of things just, like, for the sake of the episodes are really... I mean, it's early 2000s Disney, so I'm not going to go too hard on it comparatively to now. But the episodes are really formulaic, and a lot of times... Except, like, with the exceptions of, like, the really good, like, race relations ones, a lot of times I feel like the episodes are just structured in a way to make a really basic plot work, and then, like, even in that structure really not making sense. Like, there's things like a helicopter, like, the cold open for one episode is a helicopter, like, flying down to the football stadium at the high school, and they're like, we have a contest. And I'm just like, why is who authorized this thing to happen? So it has a lot of instances like that where I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I know it's a cartoon, but like, they just kind of, it's not very serialized, and they just do like, we're just going to use cartoon logic to solve this problem. And I'm just like, dig a little deeper, guys. So that's my issue so far with the Proud Family. Like, I watched, like, even, like, the stupid fucking movie. Did you see the Proud Family movie, like, back in the day?
Oh, it vaguely is familiar, but you'll have to remind me what it was about.
With the peanuts?
Oh, I think so.
The weird fucking peanuts where they had to have a dance-off, and I'm just like, I'm done. This is dumb.
What, dancing peanuts isn't an enticing plot, are you implying?
I mean, it's all about the context. Like, there's stupid things in Kim Possible, but, it's just the context of just, like, let's just make this as cliche as possible. Not, like, there's a new episode, one of the new episodes, Penny canceled, like, an influencer, and the influencer ends up being fine with it. He's like, oh, I can donate my time to puppies now. That's my pure goal. Thanks, Penny Proud. And I'm just like, well, that worked out nicely. What happens if that influencer was, like, wrecked emotionally from Penny being...
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't... Everything is just kind of tied together too neatly to be particularly engaging. So,
Yeah, it's not so much like... Because, like you said, it's a cartoon, so it can have a certain level of... cartoon physics and everything, but when it kind of just, when plots just end or don't really resolve and they just kind of brush it off because it's a cartoon, that's where it can get a little bit, sounds like, yeah, like at least try a little bit more, like, put a little bit of motion or something.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that The new one is a little bit better, like defining the characters a little bit more. Oscar being homophobic was something I didn't really expect to happen, but I guess someone needed to do it. But I don't know, it's weird to think about. And
didn't they also write out a character because of an issue with like one of the voice actors?
Yeah, they wrote out Orlando Brown, who played Sticky, and he was like some other guy, and that's a Raven.
Okay.
Because he has domestic abuse, battery charges, trouble with the law. Uh-oh. So I'm just like, yeah, that will do it. I mean, it sucks because it was one of their strongest gags, but that'll do it.
It's interesting that they just chose to write the character out instead of recasting them, but...
Well, it's very dependent on, the company's relationship with the voice actors. Like, if they feel like Orlando Brown, defines Sticky, which, sure, then I feel like, writing him out is just better to preserve his personality, I guess, if we're calling that, than recasting him, because it's very hard to find someone that is an exact T to, sound-alike wise to a specific person, too. And then you have to get into issues about, why is there a new person? Oh, I guess he did some battery charges. And then the same thing, I think, happened with the kid who played Corey from That's So Raven, right? He got arrested for being a pedophile or some creepy thing.
Similar to Drake Bell, I think, right around the same time, yeah. Maybe not as... or maybe a little bit different, but yeah.
Yeah, fun fact, one time I saw Drake Bell in person before all this stuff happened, and it was weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now you can say that you saw Drake Bell before he was...
No, my biggest brag is me meeting Tommy Wiseau, which people don't believe.
Oh, wow.
And then I have pictures. I think that's one of my most popular tweets, is just I found Tommy Wiseau, and people are like, what the hell? So, he's a real person, and he is exactly like you would think he is. He likes to twirl, but if there's any girls that come around, he twirls them and stuff, and
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, Tommy. So that's my story. So moving on, I guess, from that. Have you seen Turning Red yet?
I have not. I'm still behind on Luca as well, but
you haven't seen Luca yet?
No, I used to be so good. I feel like once the movies got out of theaters, ironically enough, is when I didn't keep up as much with them. Some of the Pixar and Disney, because that's pretty much all I watch anyway. But yeah, I need to see Luca still. But yes, Turning Red as well looks adorable, and I really want to see it. But
yeah, I just saw Turning Red last night because I hadn't watched it yet, I guess, and it was cute. It was about as good as I thought it would be, and period joke, haha. But which was weird to see in such a mainstream Disney Pixar format. I mean, they didn't say the word period, but that was, I mean, this is not really a spoiler, but that's the mom's first assumption that's going on. She's like, I have all these painkillers and I have pads, so many pads, and I'm just like, oh Lord, that's this is weird. You're not supposed to talk about periods, Pixar. What is this, a period piece?
Those don't exist.
Did you hear my joke?
That? Oh, I missed it. What'd you say?
I said, what is this, a period piece? Do. Yeah, I was just like, that was a good joke. I need to say it again so he hears it. So, I think, from my understanding, there was a slight backlash because it made people uncomfortable about doing a movie about periods indirectly.
I feel like
that's
Sorry,
dumb. But go ahead. Yeah. No, it's dumb that's even a thing that happens.
Oh yeah, no, that. I think anything that you can educate a kid on that's not like what's considered inappropriate a lot of times isn't really, and I feel like that's something that is good if you can educate, even in a little. I don't know exactly how they did it because I haven't seen the movie yet, but if it makes you a little uncomfortable, I guess if you're going to watch the movie for enjoyment, that's one thing, but still, wherever you can put these, I can't even say lessons, but for me, I didn't learn about periods and things until later in life than I should have. So, it's
that tracks.
Yeah. So something like that would help and just more normalize it, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what needs to happen with a lot of things as well.
So let's see. The last thing I have on the list of news things is I just have it as the Buzz Lightyear thing, and we both know what that is. So do you know enough about the story to explain it, or do you want me to explain it?
I think if you could explain it, please. for the audience and me who need to know.
Okay, so the last month or so, Disney's been getting in trouble for being stupid. Basically, it got leaked that they were supporting specific legislation, and I think people like in Congress or something like that. And one of the laws they were trying to pass, those congressmen were trying to pass, was a law that kind of talks about, any form of like LGBTQ plus spectrum in schools, which is stupid essentially. And then that got leaked, and Bob Chapek or whatever, the new Disney CEO, he's of everything, made it worse. And first it got trending, and then he just said, "Hey guys, we're sorry. We'll just try to change the world by making more inclusive content."
Oh my god.
And then that made it worse. And then he's just like, "Oh, well, sorry. Maybe that was a bad take." And I'm just like, "No, really?" And then he's like, "Okay, okay, we've pulled out of the thing. I'm sorry. We were dumb." And then internally what happened with the Buzz Lightyear thing is what I'm referring to is, so Pixar is making a new spin-off movie about Buzz Lightyear that is not related to the cartoon one that went on in the mid-90s, right?
I think it was. I remember it being on TV, but not very long, so.
Yeah, so, that existed, by the KP crew made that before they were making KP, but, I think that's why it's also not on Disney Plus right now, is they're waiting for Lightyear to drop, and they'll be like, "By the way, here's this thing that we have," and we're like, "Hey." So, the Aladdin series isn't on Disney Plus yet for some reason, but the Hercules series is, so I'm not sure what's going on with that logic, or I don't think House of Mouse is on either. Anyway, these are the important things, is putting House of Mouse on Disney Plus.
That's more important than any of these other ones.
It's
House
more
of Mouse
important.
is the top priority.
10 out of 10. But there was apparently supposed to be a same-sex kiss between somewhere within the span of the movie. I don't think it was about the Buzz Lightyear character specifically. Maybe it was they didn't specify any of the gender, how the characters define their gender or anything like that. They just said it was a same-sex kiss that got cut out of the movie. And then because of this, it got re-added into the movie, which is good. But, Disney, the thing that really bothers me is Disney, Nickelodeon has a much different approach of all this gay shit, essentially. Where they're just like, you guys do whatever, it's fine. But Disney is so focused on their international market that they're just like, you do you, except not really. We're going to cut that last minute. So there was a point in the Last Jedi video that I did a couple of years ago where they had a same-sex, no, it wasn't, I think it was She-Ra. Anyway, there's a gay kiss at the end of Rise of Skywalker that's just in the background, just so it's there, and then for the international market they can cut it out.
I do remember this, yes. I think I did. I might have edited that one because She-Ra was my first video, but I do remember at least you talking about that, and it's just the fact that it's such a minor detail and thing in the background, but it still had to be cut as that's Disney. Unfortunately, what they do.
Yeah, we all want to believe Disney is the best company ever. That's why everyone's working their butt off to try to get in. But at the same time, they seem to just want to do things, and they don't really care as far as who it offends because they want to do things. There was that fuss maybe a year or two ago when the Mulan movie came out, where they kind of didn't pay attention to some, I think, labor camps or something, war prisoner camps or something like that China was doing in exchange of, being able to use their land or something like that. I don't know the specifics, but it was also shady, and I'm just like, come on, guys, you have, you're one of the richest companies in the world. You don't have to do this. And that's my frustration because Iger, so it was Michael Eisner, Bob Iger, and then this new guy, Bob Chapowitz or whatever. But yeah, Iger didn't tolerate anyone's shit, and he was just like, "Hey, you guys aren't doing pro-choice? Fuck you! I'm gonna not shoot things in your state, and you won't get all that money." And they're just like, "No, please." And I'm just like, okay, you got to work with us. So he did really cool bro moves like that. So I'm just kind of surprised that this new CEO is just not incompetent, but I feel like that's a very like duh thing, and the fact that he had to send like 2 or 3 emails before he just backed out was stupid.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I tend to just believe that every head of every corporation now is just is problematic in some way, and so I just try my best to look at the people, like the random employees that are working on things and are passionate and enjoy those.
We live in a world kind of thing, so oh well. But I guess you got some homework to do, Anthony. And then, have you seen Green Eggs and Ham too? Because Green Eggs and Ham, this next season of Green Eggs and Ham is coming out like relatively soon.
I still have not. No.
Okay. Well,
I have a lot of homework to do.
For anyone listening, I haven't decided if I'm going to review the season 2 of Green Eggs and Ham, but season 1 of Green Eggs and Ham was the best Dr. Seuss media I've ever seen. Keep in mind, I have a sore spot for the 2000 Grinch movie, like most millennials my age. Like hands down, like, and Guy is like the best character, and the animation is beautiful, and it's just so it's like that's how you fucking do an adaptation. Where for those who don't know, and for Anthony, essentially, it's not the same kind of what you're expecting, like the old school 70s Green Eggs and Ham, where they animated it, and it was just like an adaptation of the book. It's like a heist, and like every episode is like tries to introduce Guy to eating green eggs and ham, and he's not like really against it, but he's also just like, let's not do it here. So, and there's this big arc that happens with multiple characters, and it's the best Dr. Seuss media ever. And Dr. Seuss is a problematic author, so, I'm glad that he's, I don't know, canceling authors post them being dead is a weird kind of middle ground, I guess, so.
Penny will cancel Dr. Seuss. Penny Proud.
Penny Proud, yeah, well, he's dead, so he's already canceled, but,
Yes. I guess death is the biggest cancel you can get, also.
Yeah, well, do you want to know my sad fact? So my sad fact for people who, I feel like I referenced this before, but, whatever, I'll just say it, because that's what podcasts are for, they're for talking. So my sad fact is, Dr. Seuss's wife, I think, had some kind of long-term illness. I don't think it was cancer specifically, it was some kind of really gross long-term illness, and he had an affair while she was dealing with that, and then his former wife, no, it gets worse, then his former wife, after he realized that, committed suicide, and then he married the other woman he was having the affair with. Dr. Seuss. Now everyone's sad.
Why? I always was just content as a kid when people would be like, Dr. Seuss hated children, and I'm like, that's funny. He did that. Maybe he didn't like children, but he wrote good children's books, but that's a big yikes.
That is a big yikes. So I think, it's a weird, I don't know, I think like in the next 500 years or so, we'll have this big definition of specific creators that maybe did some oops things in their life that were just like, yeah, their work was pretty good, but you remember that oops thing they did, because like if someone's creating nowadays, then like they might get quote unquote canceled for, something that is relatively minor when, these big creators are like, and then Picasso was a womanizer, and there's all sorts of like bad eggs out there that are just like, they're great because they contributed this to society. I'm just like, but are they really? So, Okay, I have one more talking point before we go into the main story and just chill and talk. So anyway, for those who like My Little Pony stuff, if not, you can skip this. There's a new My Little Pony comic book coming out. So for Anthony's not a brony. So essentially, Anthony, I will explain it to you like I'm explaining it to the rest of the audience. But essentially, Anthony, there was a side comic called that IDW made when the Pony Show was out, where they had different spin-offs with different characters, and it was kind of considered B-canon because sometimes there would be directly conflicting characterization between the comic people and the show people, and that was just because they were both happening at the same time, and it was hard, communication wasn't always there. So there's for example, there's one episode where Discord is around the CMC and he's just like, ugh, CMC. But comparatively in the comics, there's a whole comic book where him and the CMC and him become friends. Do you know what the CMC are?
No.
Okay, I had a feeling. So the CMC are like the little baby, they're not babies, but they're like the preschool-ish children who don't have their special talents yet. They don't have their butt things. So they have a club called the Cutie Mark Crusaders. So cutie marks are the butt things, and they're trying to find their cutie marks. You get it? So, and they have some episodes in the Pony Show every once in a while when they're trying to find their talents or something.
Find their butts.
Find their butts. Yeah, we can't find them. So that's the example that comes off the top of my head because I did a review for both of those episodes, or not the comic book and the episode. And I did the comic before the episode, I think. It's been 5 years. I don't know anything about it. But that's an example. So, so I guess people just thought, oh, if the show's the primary canon, and that's why I never really paid too much attention to the comic books. But the comic books were really good, to be fair. But I just wish they were closer about... Anyway, so there's a new Pony comic book with the new generation. I don't think it has a name right now. It's just called My Little Pony. But I thought it was interesting because basically the ponies are, so it's My Little Pony Generation 5 number 2 if people want to Google it. But Sunny, the main pony, is holding what looks like a Discord's horn. So now, people are going to think they're going to touch on this really pessimistic, Fallout kind of style, recovering the old town and the whole ruins, because the new generation takes place 1,000 years in the future, so everyone's implied to be super fucking dead. So, but Discord is a weird case because he's immortal, so we don't know what's happening. So I just am really, really afraid they're going to kill off my favorite character, even though it's B-canon, so it doesn't really matter, but that would still bother me. Meanwhile, John Delancey's on Picard, and I'm not paying attention to it because I'm just, I wish something more materialized out of that, essentially. But it's weird to see Picard stuff in my feed and just be like, oh, right, that was a thing that happened when I was not the age that I am now. So
yeah, this cover is not what I was kind of expecting. It definitely is it almost looks like a serious dark, not dark, but yeah, for people when they look at it, it's just very
My Little Pony serious.
Well, maybe they'll make it somehow good, the lore,
Yeah, imagine you come at a Brony after all this, and you just I'm ready to do My Little Pony. I'm like, oh, Anthony, you missed the high point already.
I'll get attached to a character that gets written off, or I don't know if characters die in My Little Pony, but a character that's no longer around.
Not really. Sometimes they get turned to stone, but that's the worst that happens to them.
Okay.
So, but that's temporary. I don't know. Maybe we'll send you to watch the Pony Show, and you can be like, so Anthony, tell me what are your thoughts about the Pony Show, and you'll be like, it was great. I'm like, have fun. There's 8 more seasons, and you're just like, oh no.
It's inevitable, I think, to become a true full-on brony with my time on this team.
I mean, the team's not really made up of bronies anymore. I think there's only maybe half.
That's true, actually. Yeah,
maybe a half to 25% at this point. So, which is fine. I don't really have a preference as long as they, don't overcommit. So speaking of overcommit, we'll move on to our main story tonight, which is dealing with team people and Anthony's specific way of being a leadership and dealing with people, because he does a good job, and he's not allowed to leave now because I will cry. And this whole last couple of months have been not fun. I mean, it's always not fun for me because of all my issues, but, specifically it's been also not as fun just dealing with burnout and going back to school and dealing with all those emotions of, going back to school and being sad, and then dealing with Toby time, Toby is my puppy that I got December or so. So, he's good for the most part. It's just been more challenging than I thought it would be. So, it's a lot. But yeah, so I guess you can talk about like your first impressions when you were on the team, and then you can kind of continue on to like your relationships that you developed with people on the team and like how it is now, that kind of thing. And feel free to add things, and I'll jump in as if I remember things. If whatever. It's like story time with Uncle Anthony.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess where to start. I guess before I became a head, it was very much just being an editor, doing the things, keeping track, communicating with everybody, but I wasn't really in charge of keeping track of people or anything. I was just one of the editors, so I would, do the work I had to and keep people updated more so. But
well, let me backtrack further. So why did
Sure.
you want to be an editor, and then, why do you like cartoons, and, why are you passionate about that kind of stuff?
Sure, yeah. That's been forever. I've always just loved cartoons and TV and everything, and back in middle school, thought about doing acting potentially, and then it kind of just shifted into like just loving things about film classes in high school, and then college is when I really learned that like editing is what I love. I did editing and film courses, and I loved all the styles of filming, but the actual filming itself I wasn't as interested in, so I moved more towards the editing, and I had a lot of fun. I had a radio class where we made commercials and drama for radio, and it was a lot of fun, and that was the biggest thing I think that really made me be like, I want to be an editor, and I like editing. And as far as cartoons, I just grew up watching cartoons. I had older siblings and cousins that we all were super close and liked the same stuff, so whatever they watched and liked, I also watched and liked. And then the anime phase that never ended got in starting in middle school, and so it's just always been consuming cartoons and media and things.
What were the big? I mean, we're similar in age, so like, what were the like big animes back in the day? Because that was something I missed out on, and I probably should have been more open about it. But I like Miyazaki now. I feel like that's good enough.
Miyazaki is the truest form of anime, because it's always a joke that Miyazaki hates anime just because of like the way it's like drawn and style, whereas Miyazaki does like such careful and details and stuff.
Yeah.
But those movies are fantastic. Yeah, they're beautiful, and everything about
them.
Yeah,
I am bummed. Like, I didn't start watching Miyazaki till like maybe college. I'm just like, man, I'm stupid. Like, I've been on like, like animation's such a great art form, but I'm just like, anime. I don't know. Those weebs, man, are a little sus.
See, yeah, I always just had this mindset of like, once I reached a certain age, I was just like, anything new is like stupid, so I would just not watch new stuff. But it never like was because it was like anime specifically or anything. So once I started watching anime, then I was like, there's an endless library of this stuff. Oh my god.
Watch any anime ever.
Yeah, exactly. There's always like the anime, at least for like people that I always talk to, that people consider the like non-anime because they aired on like Cartoon Network and Toonami and stuff. So like Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z and Yu-Gi-Oh! And those animes that are like when people watch them. But if you had to like go out of your way to watch shows, then like those were the more like that's like not something that most people would just consume and watch. But yeah, I think a lot of the big ones back then were like definitely Naruto, of course, Bleach. That was my technically first one that I went out of my way to watch. Death Note was up there, which I think is one that you've seen, right?
Yes, I've seen Death Note and I've seen Miyazaki, and that's it. Like, what is Bleach about, for instance? I know like what Dragon Ball Z is about generally, but
it's one of the bigger shonens, so it is a little bit long. It's pretty much about a guy, Ichigo, becomes what's called a soul reaper, which is people that essentially like afterlife reapers, the people that fight hollows and save humans. It's been so long, so I'm going to butcher the plot a bit, but it's actually coming back also, which is amazing though, because it's finally finishing the anime series. But
wouldn't it be the best twist though if it was just like he was a house cleaner and he was just like bleaching like floors and stuff like that, and that was what the anime was
about? Yeah, that would be the smart thing to do, but he went with the boring route of making really cool swords and characters. So no, but it evolved a bit, but it mainly was just fighting. Yeah, like, because that's a lot of these like shonens all kind of do that, where they start off very like, this is like the simple kind of fun plot where characters are just joking, they're in school and doing stuff, and then like the serious plot like comes and turns. But that's like the main premise, is that it consists of like soul reapers, where there's the Soul Society. So he's like a half human, half soul reaper, I think is what it is technically. Or I don't remember the specifics, but yeah, most soul reapers like are dead. They're humans who have like died, and That was not the best
He's like
explanation
Danny,
of Bleach, but there's really not
it
that
was
much
like Danny
story.
Phantom.
They what?
So it's like Danny Phantom.
Oh my gosh, I never thought of that. In a weird way, I think, yeah, I guess it kind of is. There really isn't too much story to Bleach. I think this guy, like, he had really cool, like, characters and fights and just designs, but then, like, because the series became so popular, like, Shonen Jump or whatever company, like, made him just keep writing, and so he was kind of forced to just make story and do stuff. But
It'd be like that.
yeah, but that's Bleach, and it's a great one to start with, but it is a bit long. Yeah, there's other ones, like, it kind of depends on, I guess, the age that you would start watching it. Like, I know there are shows like Soul Eater and Ouran High School Host Club that are, like, really popular in middle school more so. I mean, I watched both of those in high school, so I'm not talking, but actually Soul Eater was end of middle school, but, and then Fullmetal Alchemist also is one that, like, is my personal favorite and, like, transcends, like, people. That's another one that came out, like, it first had an original series, but they didn't follow the original source material, so then they remade it, and then it did, and, apparently both are good. I haven't seen the one that didn't follow the material, but it's, like, pretty good for the most part. But yeah, those are, like, kind of the I guess old is, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but, like, yeah, at least
Early influence.
decade to 2 decade old anime. And then if you want to go into, like, Evangelion, and those are, like, even older and stuff.
How about we save it for another episode where we talk about all the animes? And okay, that's a thing.
If you want me to ramble forever, I can do that on animes. So yes, we'll save it for another episode. But
okay,
yeah,
so
that's all of that kind of is what made me be like, I want to be a part of this, and so I chose the career path of editing, and just I'm still figuring things out. I've graduated college 2 years ago only, so I still a baby. So I'm looking for exactly what I want to do and where things will go, but just the passion and the enjoyment that I got out of media growing up is why I chose to do editing.
So I guess what are some of the things that you started to learn on the team when you were like just started to be on the team? Like, is it like tell me what it's like to collab with other creative people?
It's interesting. Yeah, you realize that there is a lot of responsibility, not only for yourself, but for the other person or people that you're working with when you collab. So it really is, like, it may seem like not a lot of work sometimes, or like, things can just be like, it's fine, or like, but when you have that attitude, when you're working with people, it can hold everybody back and cause a lot of issues if you're not taking things seriously, or at least communicating about it. But yeah, no, I learned a lot from the team. I mean, my college was great. I mean, I had a great experience there, and it did get me that good kickstart, but that was kind of really all it was. So, like, I really just learned the basics, but it was a state school, so, it wasn't...
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, that I'm learning more and more is just, like, if you go to a state school for, like, any artistic thing, like, you're fucked, essentially. Mm-hmm. And, I was ranting about that last night, because it's just frustrating, because it's, people are capitalizing on other people's children's ambition. But like, realistically, you need to have a school that has, knows how to do specific programming, or else either you're teaching it to yourself, or you're just, crying every night. So,
yeah.
And that was like, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, no, that's just how it is. And like, I'm not a professor, so I don't know what it's like to do the teaching and stuff, but it also kind of depends on that, because like, I had the one professor in my radio class was the best professor I ever had, and he, the amount he taught us and kickstarted was just so good and everything. But then, other professors in other classes, when like they don't push you at all, and that was kind of a problem in my school specifically, is that like because it was the communications major, and it was kind of combined into like the journalism, public speaking, and just that, and then also like the media, filming, and all this. And a lot of times people were in classes they didn't really care about, and so that kind of then passionate people are working with not as passionate people, and then you have some professors that are just giving you easy assignments and doing stuff where you're not really pushed or learning. And so if you kind of like, like you said, if we had schools that really had programs catered to this, and professors that were invested where everybody was in the same mindset, then it would, I mean, I'm sure they exist somewhere, I just didn't go there. But
yeah, so and that's what, like, me going back to school, like, now that's something that I'm learning now that I'm in a more competitive school with actual career advising, that it, like, can actually get me somewhere. It's just like, oh man, this is so easy, but like, oh man, you really have to be, in the right place in the right time in order just to break in, because everyone wants to break in, because everyone wants to fucking make cartoons as a job, because it sounds like fun, the best thing that you could ever do, essentially. And for some people that are really hyper focused on this kind of stuff, it it just doesn't seem like there's any other option, especially artistically. So, it does suck, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to make. And so that will be a continuing theme until I'm able to go back to LA and get a job. It's just like, man, this all sucks. I just hate it. So
yeah, naive me back in like early college being like, oh yeah, New York City is a busy place. I'm sure I can find some like studio to work at and like help make cartoons and edit and do stuff. And then I'm just like, you need how many years of experience?
Yeah,
I can't get without the job. The usual, but
yeah. So, but if you don't have access to any of those things, then you need to just fucking art and hope you get lucky. Put it on the internets and pray to the art gods. But yeah, and that's why I like the team specifically, because it gives people, because it's nonprofit based, it gives people more opportunities to get better. And I know, like, the minute if I ever wanted to go on a profit model, like, it would be a different game. Like, everyone would try to be like, oh yeah, like I want to make money doing art, or like just the things we're talking about. And now it's suddenly super competitive, and those people that maybe want to get better at the X thing, don't have a place to go and get better at the X thing, because, now it's just professionals and hiring professionals, and I don't know. I mean, it's something I keep on toying with, but it can get complicated, and I'm afraid of that complexity, I suppose. So
right, yeah.
Well, what would you like to talk about next? What aspect would you like to talk about next?
I don't really have too much of a preference. I guess if you want the biggest lesson I've learned from just working in a team, especially with people online, I could talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, so the biggest lesson I learned that you have stressed to me and stressed to everybody on the team always and everything is communication, which is the podcast name. But it really
kind of, but it's spelled like Krusty Krab, so it's not like technically spelled correctly.
Yes, this is true.
Edit all the things.
I've never thought of it like that. The podcast name being like the Krusty Krab.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like in Kim Possible, she calls the communicator with a K, not like a C. So it's like a communicator. So
I did understand the pun at least. Imagine I was on the team for 2 years, and I was like,
you got that. I mean, there's some people on the team who are just like, I don't know, what's a Kim Possible? I'm just like, why are you here? So,
oh my.
Did we I don't remember if this is a little bit off topic, but I don't know if someone came, like I've met Anthony before. He came to one con, and at the conventions, people are always like, oh yeah, I used to watch you all the time when I was into My Little Pony, and now I forgot you existed until just now. And I'm just like, thanks. So I usually get like a couple of those, but like this last con, I got like half of the people who interacted with me were saying things like that. And I know they're not doing it on purpose, but like hearing that all day is just like, oh yeah, I used to watch you when I cared about you, and now I know, and it's just kind of sucks.
I'm still a person. I still exist.
I still live. So, but sometimes at conventions, people think I'm the voice of Kim Possible. So I don't think we got any of those at the Grand Rapids con, but that's happened before too.
Right, yeah, I remember you've talked about that as well. Yeah, I don't think there was anybody, but that does sound pretty funny if that ever happened. But yeah, so like when it comes to communication, I guess just like it's so important. I think that's just the biggest lesson I've learned in life with anything, because I've just come to learn as I've gotten older that no one knows how to communicate and no one ever will know how to communicate, which is a very cynical approach to it. But like, young, old people just have trouble with communications. And of course it's not easy sometimes, and it depends on the situation, of course. But specifically for a team environment like this, like you don't always ask for a lot when it comes to communication. It's kind of just like check your messages and have Discord open. But like a lot of times some people are great and will communicate always and just always have their phone on or something, but then other people just don't answer, and it's always just like, where are you? Which I'm guilty of too, I'm not always like immediate responder kind of thing, of course, but if it's ever like something serious or work related, I guess is,
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple of times where I'm like, hey, Anthony, things have exploded. I'm texting you. And,
and
you're
I'm
just like, oh, what happened? I'm just...
5 hours later, like, what happened? I was at my cousin's and my car exploded, and then, or not my car exploded, I remember recently there was, the incident where my phone was, like, not working, but I got your text, so I was trying to call you back, but it was overheated, so I couldn't, and I was like, no, I have to be in my car or I'll get a ticket. But, anyway, side tangent. But yeah, just communicating on any group project or team thing. I know it sounds like such an obvious, like, thing to say, such an obvious statement, but it just goes such a long way when you are constantly just communicating and being open and honest about things and never just kind of like harboring feelings or just, this communication goes into a lot of different topics, but like, especially when you're working with a team of people and you're online, it's not like someone that you see in the office that you can talk to and do stuff where you're forced to interact. It's like, you can hide away forever on the internet. And so when you're in this team environment, that's something when I became a head is definitely what I noticed where, back when I was just an editor, I was, sometimes I wouldn't get in touch with people. It was fine, whatever, or I'd get back eventually, or they would get back to me eventually. But as a head, when you're trying to keep track of things and manage things as well, it gets a little bit more chaotic when people aren't answering or, just not finishing things.
I mean, like, even dealing with, like, this Treasure Planet Reanimate, which is almost done, everyone. We have one more scene that needs to be assigned. And then we gotta assign the cover art. I mean, not the cover art, the cover track to someone to do. But it's gonna get done. I promise all this stuff will get done. Just this Lion King documentary is, like, kicking the shit out of me. But that will get done, too, eventually. But, one of the reasons I realized on hindsight it took so long is, people just weren't communicating as much as I would have liked. And, I think a lot of times people just don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to feel like, if someone's volunteering to do something, that they don't want to have to say, like, hey, we need it by this date or whatever. And, finding that middle ground of, like, I don't want to be a butthole to you, but, we do need your scene so it gets done, because if it doesn't get done, then we're going to have to reassign it anyway. So, for the sake of the group, you need to be able to turn something in, essentially.
Right, yeah. And I'm guilty of that as well, because I am incapable of yelling at people. But I think also then there's you when you sign up for things and you do things, there is that responsibility and accountability that you're held for. So, it's not even like you're being mean by being like, hey, I'm just checking in, or, like, do you have any progress to show? Because then suddenly when, like, a deadline's coming up and there's no work, it's like, well, what do we do kind of thing? And especially, with Treasure Planet. It's
not even so much like checking in. It's to the point where someone's going to have to be let go, or you're going to have to, like, give them, essentially an ultimatum where it's just like, hey, I don't mean to be this way, but, like, you said X date, it's been Y date, and, we, like, everyone else is waiting on you. It gets to the point where everyone else is kind of dependent on your turnaround. So, like, that's the common thing. And, like, something that, now Anthony is seeing too, that not a lot of people realize until they're, like, on leadership. Because it's nonprofit, there's so many people who have different expectations about, like, being nice and wanting to do something, but because they've never had a job before, or they've never been able to change their responsibility or center their responsibility, whatever, then it becomes challenging. And I guess, like, it's different because, like, when you find people that are passionate about this kind of stuff, it's a different relationship, I suppose, compared to someone who feels like they're just doing work, or, like, why am I doing this? And,
Yeah. And I think with this team specifically also, a lot of people then do kind of just see it as more like, oh, it's fun. And we of course do, like, especially with me doing interviews now, I'm very always reassuring to people of, like, oh yeah, like, we are totally understanding that we're volunteer, and, we, like, your time is very valuable, so always just let us know and keep us updated with, like, work or other stuff like that. But I think because it is that nonprofit, people still are very, like, it doesn't connect sometimes with people, and so that idea of it just being a fun hobby kind of still sticks. Which, is like, if that's how you see it, like, that's, it's okay. Have fun. Like, of course, that's the point and stuff, but you are signing up for, like, a commitment still. No fun allowed here. No.
Like, if anything's, like, at the end of the day, if anything's going to get done, then it has to, have some kind of structure around it. So.
Yeah, especially with a group of people, because the larger any team gets, then the more, pieces there are to worry about, and the more things can go wrong. So, but yeah, and no one, like, most of the people from my experience on the team have never had bad intentions or, had issues when they, like, couldn't commit after, like, only a short time and stuff. But I think it is important. Like, you never know what's going to come up in life, but just always, like, see what you're able to do. Because we have had some people that, like, people who are just late to meetings or, like, just don't really do work, where it's like sometimes, like, again, if you have a reason, obviously it's totally understandable. But then when we've had times where people just, like, didn't do an assignment or just like haven't, like, updated or anything, where it's just like, what happened? Like, I'm not scary. I told you, like, anytime you have any questions or concerns, like, you could talk to us. But
I think people don't think like that, because it's the same kind of thinking of, like, oh, if you ask your professor if you have any questions, and no one ever does, because they don't want to, like, they don't want to deal with that one-on-one and that kind of thing, and it it sucks, but it be like that sometimes.
I've just always been a square in life, and so, like, even though this is just a volunteer thing on the internet, like, I could just, like, stop messaging and just disappear from the face of the earth. And, like, it's because this is online, so you really wouldn't have a way to track me. But, like, the thought of, like, actually doing that, or, like, just, I guess, actually, you could do that in real jobs too, to be fair. One time at my old retail job, some guy left during the training, so that was the, like, fastest in history for the store of quitting a job. Yeah, it's just,
Did he, like, tell you? Did he was just, like, nope, I'm out? Like, did he say anything?
It was like, quick side story, he, like, was getting upset that he had to do the training, and he was like, this training is boring. Like, first, like, one of the employees caught him on his phone during it. Then he was like, this training is boring. I just want to get, like, done with it and just start working. But he also wanted to be, like, a manager, he had said, when he was, like, first coming in to, like apply and stuff. And it was like, look, I know the training is, like, a little tedious, a little long. Yes, there's, like, obvious things in it, but, like, you have to do it, especially if you want to be a manager. And, like, he, like, apparently just, like, said this is stupid or something, and then left. And then he, like, came back with, like, Dunkin' Donuts or something, and then talked to my manager or something. I forget what happened. She thought, like, she got recorded by him when he came back and stuff. It was a bit of a mess, but.
Oh yeah. That sounds. What job was it? Like a retail job or something?
It was Staples, just a supply store. Yeah. And. Yeah, that was. I was fortunate because for retail jobs it really wasn't that bad. We just had mostly elderly people who were nice and calm and stuff. But back to school, is when it got crazy because everybody's rushing in to get supplies and things. But yeah, I don't know why he just it's not a stressful job either. So if he just did the training, it would have been, But
how do I reach these kids? Yeah.
But yeah, I just tie it into, I guess, with what I was saying. Just communicating with people and letting people know your situation can go a long way, because more people will be understanding. You'll get a mean boss, of course, in life at some point, and people who are just unreasonable, but letting people know and being honest can go a long way as well.
Yeah, shrug sigh. Do you have any, like, specific examples? I mean, obviously without naming people, but do you have, like, any, like, bad cases of people we've had to deal with in the past that sometimes, like, I mean, hopefully not a lot, like.
No, yeah. I mean, throughout my time on the team, like, everybody has been good, and a lot, like, we haven't really had bad people join, thankfully, but there was, one person that we had that, he was so enthusiastic during the interview and then, like, the first meeting or something too, and he asked me a question about his assignment and then just never came back also, so that was interesting. But, like, I answered his question too, where I was like, I got back to him a little bit later. I was like, hey, sorry, like, here, if this is what you need to know, and then just was gone. But yes, we do have the one, famous person who. So it was my second person I interviewed, and I feel like the first big red flag should have been the fact that the interview was at least a half hour, but I think it maybe was like a whole hour. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it was an hour, because interviews tend to go like 20 minutes to, depending and stuff. So it was like an hour, and the interview just started, I think, with, like, before I can even ask a question, was just like, so let me tell you about, like, what I do and myself and all of this stuff. Which is, like, it's good to be confident and, like, to say, like, oh yeah, let me tell you about myself. But, like, this person was a little bit older, so we were, of course, gonna be, like, there was a lot of things that we were thinking about where, like, everyone on the team is much younger, so we don't know how they'll blend with the dynamic. And then also, like, you know, because this person is older, like, I'm going to be super respectful to them and make sure that, you know, like, they don't think I'm, just because that was a weird dynamic that I had, being much younger than someone, but also a higher position than them. Because that's not something I ever experienced, so that was something I had learned on the team. So I was very going to be making sure, you know, to respect and, you know, always make sure, like, this person doesn't feel like I'm undermining them at all. And yeah, the interview just kind of went on with them talking about nothing that we were going to really, not nothing we were going to go over, but just like this one whole program that they were working on and doing. And, you know, they were being hired for the editor position, and they were just talking about all of the art stuff that they did and how, you know, their art teacher was teaching things wrong in the college that they were attending, which I think you, KP, might have said wasn't actually incorrect. Like, the teacher was correct with the specific thing. I can't remember what it was, though, but it was something with animating, I believe, or something. And yeah, so that was just the start of it. But we were a little skeptical from the beginning. But then, you know, like, again, with communication, it's, you know, I feel like I would try to, after a little while of, you know, because once, I guess I'm jumping around a bit, I apologize, but after, you know, he joined the team, the meetings then kind of started to become his meetings, and like, he was talking more than KP was talking about just, you know, random stuff. And it wasn't just like the first day introduction, it was like each meeting was kind of like, you know, other team members even were also like very politely like, this is a little like, he's just not, no one actually said anything, but like, people were just, like, you can tell there was a little bit of like, he was just kind of dictating the meetings to himself. No one wanted to be rude and say like he was talking too much, but to be blunt about it, he was just going on about things that don't matter, and, you know, not that they don't matter, not relevant, rather, to the team meeting, I should say. And yeah, it just kind of then like, he, you know, we had a few talks with him to like communicate it, you know, tried the best we could to like, you know, respectfully be like, hey, you know, like, if you can just, you know, during meetings, like, just, again, it was a different situation, because you don't want to tell someone who's older than you how to act appropriately, but when they were being more rude, and apologies for being blunt, but immature than the younger people on the team, it did get a little bit tricky then, and like, wonder how to handle it. But we did, I think, handle it well. And then eventually we were just in one meeting, and we thought things were better because we had talked about it, but then he just dropped out of the call and didn't say anything. And then I had to message him and email him a few days later to be like, hey, is everything okay? And he had resigned from the team at that point.
Yeah, that was a mess too, because there was some miscommunication, and I was like, I'm not mad, you know, like, there was just something that, you know, miscommunications happen because we work online constantly with people. And then he took it super, super personally, and then, like, I guess he felt like I thought he wasn't doing his job right, or something like that. And then, I don't know, I think he went off on you, right, Anthony? He
did a bit, yeah. It was a one of those kind of strongly worded emails at the end, but he ended up not even responding, I think, after the, like, I quit email, so...
That's fine, you know?
Yeah, and it was a lot of, like, you know... yeah, that's just how it was. I remember just, like, during like, the interview, or, like, whenever you would talk, like, you know, it wasn't even, like, you could really have a conversation, which sounds mean to say, but it was, like, sometimes I would just, like, put a word in, or, like, after he stopped, I would do something, and he would just be like, wait, I'm still talking, or, like, you know, or, like, oh, are you listening, are you following, and stuff, and I'm like, yes, I swear I am, like, you know.
Yeah.
So just kind of things about communicating that were not the best way to do it, and then once it became a team environment, and, you know, it was during meetings and stuff, yeah, it became a little problematic. But I think overall we also, like, determined that he was probably just promoting his program. I didn't touch on that as much during the story, but he would do a lot of extra work with the program, and, or not even a lot, but he was trying to do just, like, a few things to, like, push this program, and we were very much like, oh, hey, like, thank you for this. Like, this is awesome. Like, we'll, you know, if we can use it, like, we'll do it. But right now, like, no one, you know, and he even flat out said, like, I'm not going to teach anyone on the team how to do it. I'm just going to, like, supply it. And it was a program that cost money, and, you know, or, like, I think some of the assets did. And so, of course, like, we can't expect people on the team to buy this then. So, you know, we tried to explain I guess I should have started with that because this is more of like where the problem came from. But like he was pushing this so much, and he would get offended when like we didn't use it or want to use it, and we kept trying to have to explain like, no, like this is really cool and this could be good, but like no one here knows how to do this. Like if we're not asking you to teach everybody, but also if you want us to use it, we might need your help to like, you know, tutor or do a little bit of something. And you know, like it would just be a lot of that of like trying to force this program and do it when like, and we were working on, I don't remember what we were doing at the time. I feel like there was something kind of big or bigger that we were working on, and so
I think we were working on the core part of Lion King stuff, like, you know.
There was core Lion King, like Anastasia was I think going on also, and that was like a bigger project that I like, you know, also had a part in. It was like 3 of us were working on it, and it was like a long video. But
for the sake of the podcast, like I'll just define like the Lion King itself is pretty much done. We're just mixing the credits song, and we've been mixing the credits song for like 2 months because we're trying to get it past Content ID, but that's really the last thing before we start promoting it. But, you know, like what we were talking about is the core, like the main part of the video was being edited at that time, so there were a bunch of different project thingies going on. So yeah,
that's I think what it was then. So it was not the best time to try to do this, and you know, so when you have someone pushing something that they're not really even willing to like teach or do that much, it was a little bit tough. But
and to be fair, I think sometimes I give people too much of the benefit of the doubt. Where, you know, like in cases like that, I'm just like, oh well, you know, he's older and he probably just wants an outlet, and you know, maybe everyone is younger, but maybe it's something we can work with if he's, you know, mature enough. And obviously that didn't work out, but you know, sometimes those situations do bite me in the butt when someone just can't, not in a way that's malicious, lately anyway. It's a lot of times people just have problems committing to what they agreed to do. And then it's just like, okay, well, I kind of just wasted my time talking to this person about programming and talking to this person about like X, Y, and Z when they're just like, oh, actually, I'm gonna peace out, yo. So that's where my frustration is. You know, I know no one does it on purpose, but you know, that's where I'm just kind of like, and it's also just like, you know, I know it's not realistic, but I want to mitigate, you know, as many people come and go as I can, just because it's you know, it's hard to keep on working with people that you don't know, especially with all of the problems we've had in the past. But, you know, I know it's kind of the nature of the beast too, so it's just a matter of trying to find people that want to have an outlet and also want to learn an environment that, you know, they can have the flexibility to do so, but also be willing to be accountable for things and not just think it's fun. It's not only fun. It's you know, you still gotta be somewhat responsible.
Yeah, in anything in life, you always have to, you know, have some level of responsibility and care. Of course, don't, you know, touch the stove when it's on.
Push the stove when it's...
That was my very intelligent analogy to connect what you said to it, but yeah, that's definitely the bit of the problem here. And like, I know you ask me or you worry for like me, because I also am the one interviewing people a lot, and like when it doesn't work out, it also can be tiring. And it's not like, it's really fine when people doesn't work out, but at the same time, it is a little bit like repetitive, where the same kind of thing happens, where you talk to someone, they're super enthusiastic and they sound all good and great, and then like they realize, oh, I can't commit to this kind of thing, and then it's like,
right. I mean, I think it's just kind of a stressor for me, because I get really excited about like, oh, this, like, I want, you know, because it's nice having safe people that I feel creatively trusting, but you know, I think some of the things I've messed up is not only giving people too much of the benefit of the doubt, but like, you know, not being aware of people's own issues and emotional maturity levels. You know, if people don't have another job or another outlet, then how are they going to respond to a boss, even if it's just like in a more relaxed environment, essentially? And can they even handle that? Like there was one time, I think before you were on the team, where someone just didn't want it, like they were like, I still want to be on the team, but I just don't want to be accountable for anything. I just want to play video games. And like, he would not be able to get his work turned in because he wanted to play video games or something, and he just straight out said that. And you know, I'm just like, okay, well, you know, there's nothing really I can do. You know, you can, like, you know, if you don't want to do the minimum, you can't just you can't just be in the group chat. And he's like, well, I like being on the team. And I'm just like, I can't help you, my dude. Like, you know,
yeah. Yeah, that's like a little bit of a tougher situation. I don't remember this, so it definitely was before my
No,
time.
I think Ola was there. If you want to ask him about it, but,
okay.
Yeah, essentially, it was situations like that where and a lot of creative people are high on the spectrum, which is something to consider too. Like they're not, the reason someone might be doing this is like maybe they have some kind of disability where they're limited as far as what they can do, outside the internet, and that's fine, but it's just a matter of communication and trying to pick up where they're coming from, if that makes sense. So
yeah, exactly, and being ahead and interviewing and doing this with all these people and helping manage the team as well has helped me with that, and being able to read people a little bit better, because I'm definitely the type to like not to also give the benefit of the doubt and like not look in the bad of people. Like I'll never do that, and I won't pick up on signs and stuff, but that is a skill I have obtained here. And again, not that there's been like toxic people or things, but just being in that position and having to do that research then, and having the rare problematic person or so has helped like pick up on just signs, and even like not even like toxic, but just like any level of emotional intelligence. You come to learn different people have different needs and different, just ways of communicating and stuff as well. So yeah, and that is why, I think it is good to give people the benefit of the doubt always. But at the same time, like you said, you need a level of responsibility and accountability, because, it's everybody, when everybody does it, correct, or how do I say, like, if depending, if it's a case by case basis, but like, if this is something that you are capable of doing, then like, it's something that you will be, held accountable for.
Did you want to add anything else? I think I'm good with that, unless you have any more things to add.
I think that's mostly it. I mean, it's been a lot of fun being on the team. I think it's been very enjoyable, hence why I'm still here and also one of the head positions. But
you're the only head right now, because we gotta.
Oh, it's true. People. Yeah, I am. I have all the power now.
All the power. You are the real KP.
Team AD. I just revealed my last name. Oh no, my last name is D.
Your last name is D.
I guess just I can ramble forever. So I think this is a good point to wrap it up. But just if anybody out there is going to be working on projects or doing things or working with other people, just as I said before, always communicate and let people know. And
Okay. To end too, what has been your favorite video to work on, you think?
Ooh, that is tough. Let's see. I think everyone has been really fun to work on. That's the thing. Like She-Ra, I had no idea, but that like introduced me to it, and that was the first one. But I think maybe the Haunted Mansion was one of my favorites. That might be my favorite, which was a bit of an older one I did. But I really enjoyed the Bruno one that I just did. I like that one.
No one else did. It's Encanto, KP, not Enchant.
Yeah, I mean, that one was a lot of fun to do. Rick and Morty's always fun. Rudolph, even I never was like huge on Rudolph, but like I like Rudolph more because I was able to work on that video, and so like, I like to
and that's the good thing about having flexibility is like I want to do a Rudolph video like forever, and now I'm like I can finally do it. No one will care, but so if you guys want to learn about why Rudolph isn't in all your favorite Christmas shorts, then copyright is the short answer, but the long answer is. But I'm hoping where the team is planning to go to MomoCon. Like I was a guest at the winter convention. I'm planning to be a guest, or we're planning to be a guest again. Whatever I can say without being entitled. So I'm hoping that we get some more positive interactions, because I think the most draining thing about all of the creativity is realizing, kind of pushing through when, it just doesn't feel like it's going to end, and you're like, who are these people? And do I still feel creative and stuff like that? Because I used to go to cons like, every other month or so, and now it's just like every once in a while at this point because of school. So, I think that's also why I've just been experiencing kind of a slight burnout in general lately. It's just, who are these people? But hopefully that will get better. If there's any person that likes conventions and want to see me at the conventions. Tell your local staff or whatever.
Yeah, go politely submit an application and tell them to bring KP, because then I can also go.
Yeah, then you can also go. All right, so I don't know when we're going to do a new podcast recording. I guess just as needed, as there's updates on the channel or just things to, I feel are interesting to talk about. Maybe like once something new drops that's really good, like, I'm going to save Spider-Man. I don't know, maybe we'll get to Spider-Man. I'm just afraid we're not going to get to Spider-Man fast enough that it will be relevant, and then we're just like, oh man, we put all this effort into this video and no one cares because No Way Home is not relevant anymore, but but
hopefully for a while it'll be. It left an impact. So
yeah,
I did see that movie at least. I'm not that much
under
a rock.
You saw the one movie.
But also, to be fair, I saw the second Spider-Man the day before because I knew I was seeing the third. So
the Tom Holland second one, or like
the Tom Holland second one, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Andrew Garfield actually, and then I've seen the Tobey Maguires back in the day, but it's been a hot minute.
Everyone's seen the Tobey Maguires,
of course, yeah.
I really hope people will get a kick out of my Tobey Maguire dog. So that will be Tobey Maguire coming to a convention near you soon.
Once you have the convention in New York, we can get Tobey at the pizza place.
Oh yeah, we can. Oh yeah. Because for context, I guess the pizza place that was in Spider-Man 2 is close to where Anthony is around. I guess maybe not lives. So we were just gonna get some stupid pictures of my dog named Tobey Maguire in the pizza place.
Yeah, they have like a little banner that's like, "This is where Spider-Man was shot," and I didn't look hard enough to see if there was a picture there, but like I'm sure there's something else.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't think I'll make a video about this, but I probably will want to talk about the Obi-Wan series when it comes out too. It's like the only Star Wars thing I'm slightly interested in. So.
We need a fresh batch of... I'm not a big Star Wars person myself also, and so I don't really know or keep up with too much. However, the Star Wars memes, especially prequel memes, are great, so a new batch of Obi memes is going to be...
This is what we live for. If we don't get a high ground meme reference in like the first couple of episodes, I'm just like, I'm just peacing out, yo.
But think about if we do, like that writer on the team that knows all the memes that added that in there for the fans, like people are gonna lose it. So there's a lot of potential here.
Like, well, they put a high ground meme in Mandalorian, so I'm sure we'll get a high ground meme. In the context. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and well, I watched like I think half of season 1 of Mandalorian. My younger brother Adam is really not really into Star Wars, but he keeps up with all lore and stuff like that. So if there's questions, I just ask him. So I think I asked him a couple months ago about like, Adam, why does the Mandalorian look like Boba Fett? I'm confused. So things like that.
Yeah, that's about how I do it too.
Yeah. So, but Obi-Wan's the best, and I do have a soft spot for the prequels because every nostalgia and stuff like that. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, Ian McGregor's Obi-Wan is, the toppest tier that you can get. So
yeah, it can't get better. So
all right. So if you guys have any suggestions, if we, I can always steal. I'm not going to speak for you, Anthony, but I assume I can always steal you if I'm just like, hey, let's just do a Just Chill podcast.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this was a lot of fun, and I can ramble about anything forever, so... You
can be acknowledged for your work and not just, like, a credit that, people might notice.
I did it. This is I exist. I am an editor.
KP acknowledging other people for their work?
That doesn't exist.
Push the edit button, Anthony.
That's actually all it takes. I just hit the edit button and then I go to sleep and then I cry when it was too much work.
Okay, but yeah, so as always, main channel support, please give all of it. I know the Bruno video sucked apparently, but we're coming out with some new fun videos too. I'm writing a script about the video game I mentioned earlier in the Bruno video about Edith Finch. So if you want to, I'll mention it in the video itself, but if you want to play that or look at that before the video comes out, then recommend. I don't think you'll need to if you really just don't want to watch any pre-existing media beforehand, but it is really good if you like being sad. Anthony, did you like the Edith Finch story since I made you watch it?
Yeah, I loved it. It was so good. It was just it really was just like a nice little like cinematic experience, and the whole styles and changes, and I won't talk about it too much, so you can of course talk about it in your video, but just everything they did was just really cool, and maybe I haven't played enough things similar, but it was very unique to me, so
yeah. So like I like something I say in the script, it's like, hey, like let's get like a Netflix adaptation of this. Like I would fucking love, watch the shit out of that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so so you can play that, or you can watch a walkthrough of it on YouTube if you don't want to spend money either way. And then obviously we got some more Kim Possible videos coming up. I'll probably do the Lilo and Stitch crossover shortly, probably after this one, and then probably some more top 10s until MomoCon, where I think we'll probably do Treasure Planet or Lion King for MomoCon, depending on which one ever gets done first. Woo! So, woo! Come to MomoCon, see me, give me your money, and I'll draw you things. And Anthony will be there too.
I will be on the sidelines, not drawing.
You can pet Toby for free.
Oh yes, I get to be on Toby duty, I hope. So
yeah. Well, I got this is a side note, but I got Toby a Spider-Man harness. So.
Oh my gosh. That's wonderful.
And I just got him a life jacket because we go swimming sometimes with him, and it's got a little shark fin on it.
Oh, Toby's the best boy.
Yeah, I mean he's a shy boy, but we're getting there. But all right, and then tell your friends about the content that I still exist, and hopefully Lion King will help so I'm slightly more relevant. Knock on wood. Thanks for listening. Have a happy day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Animation Communication on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast provider. We are really hoping this show makes a difference in how people view animation and media, as well as giving and providing advice for people all over the world who like or want to join the animation or media industry. If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe and rate those 5 stars, as well as tell your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our main YouTube channel, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, and turn those notifications on. My name is Scribbler, and you have been listening to Animation Communication.